Good morning. Welcome to Business Equity and Opportunities. I'm Scott Sander. Let us be the first to remind you, but certainly not the last. This morning marks the end of daylight saving time. It's 10 right now if you forgot to spring forward overnight. No matter how you plan to manage your time, our goal remains the same: provide useful information and inspiration to help you start and grow your own business. We hope today's segments will do just that by getting started, accessing capital, what's happening this week in business, accounting and bookkeeping, running your business day to day, and focusing on an industry. And we close with a success story each week. Our segments are conversations with experts, business owners, entrepreneurs who share their insights and personal stories to help you find your own business success. Throughout the show, you'll see a QR code that'll take you straight to our website where you'll find all of our segments. While you're there, we encourage you to subscribe to our growing weekly newsletter that comes out every Tuesday, and to our Business Equity and Opportunities podcast on the All Indiana Podcast Network. Here's what's ahead this hour on Business Equity and Opportunities. A look at tech companies in town for last week's Sports Tech HQ. A famed Speedway landmark is almost ready to reopen. Tax tips and why an extension might be in your future. AI offerings for 1,000 local small businesses. Find out how and why. And we share a very personal success story. All that and more on Business Equity and Opportunities. We are getting started with a visit to the Certified Vendor of the Month from the Indianapolis Office of Minority and Women Business Development. It is Connor Painting. Janmarie Connor is the president and CEO.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Getting started.
My name is Janmarie Connor. I'm the president and the CEO of Connor Painting, and we are in Indianapolis, Indiana. We're on Hawthorne Park Drive on the northeast side of Indianapolis. Connor Painting is a commercial and industrial maintenance painting contractor, as well as doing new construction work in the city. And what that means is that we work directly for a lot of our customers. They're Fortune 500 customers. They're in virtually every sector: education, utilities, healthcare, food and beverage, advanced manufacturing, anywhere where there is a lot of square footage and a lot of equipment that needs to be maintained, new add-ons, construction, things of that sort. That's where you'll find us. But what we actually do as a company is we have expert problem solvers. Our ability to work with facilities professionals, facilities engineers on solving some really complex issues as it relates to the painting and coating needs that they have, whether that's floors, walls, ceilings, the entire envelope. We can provide that resource, and we have customers that have been with us for 30 plus years, and knock on some wood, we hope that they'll be with us much longer. I think the way we would probably phrase it is that beyond the equipment and what you might find on the walls and things like that, it's the substrates. So if you're putting something on steel, if you're putting something on drywall, the condition of that. We also do floor coatings, concrete polishing. You know, sometimes you go into facilities that are pristine and they've been very well attended to. Other times you go in and there's all kinds of challenges, and it really does take often our expert estimators to be able to go in and determine what do we need for this job. So my background actually is in organizations and systems development with a Gestalt lens. So what that meant is I got trained in working on the systems that drive business and organizations forward, but particularly working with the people aspect of that, where often where the process and people intersect is really where the problems are. So I kind of became a forensic detective in other people's organizations. In the meantime, my husband and his brother actually were at the start of this business doing purely historic preservation types of projects, and outstanding, work, not super profitable. So we had a two-income family, which we needed, and in the process of that, there came a time when it was important for what it was that I brought to other businesses to bring to our own business. So in 1997, my husband and I purchased the business, and then I became the majority owner of the business. Gosh, that was 15 years ago now. And since then, we have found a way, the whole family is involved in our business, as well as a lot of other really key people that work with us on doing this work. But we've been able to, I think, combine skill sets in order to grow and have sustainable growth in the company. Yeah, it's interesting because when things are booming, you're seeing a lot of new construction, and we have capabilities in that area. It hasn't been our primary area, but we have a lot of capabilities and we have a lot of great GC partners that we work with. But it's particularly when times become constricted, and you can see it right now, we're seeing information coming out of the state where they're capping new capital projects, new buildings, and then they beef up the maintenance budgets because you have to constantly maintain the infrastructure. So we feel like, from our perspective, we've hedged ourselves to be able to operate well in either market. But I think that the maintenance, painting, and organizations that really do get that, it saves their organizations and the city and the state billions of dollars just by attending to rust and corrosion and all the things that cause facilities, equipment, things like that to fail. So we're delighted to have won the Vendor of the Month from the Office of Minority and Women Business Development from the City of Indianapolis. It is very significant to me. And part of the reason it's significant is beyond the training programs, the development opportunities for myself and people in our organization, and beyond the coaching and beyond even the awareness of what projects are, projects that are coming up in the city that we may want to take a look at, not just the city, but with private industry as well. There has been an ecosystem developed of other business owners that I never would have known. These folks in the way that I've gotten to know other women business owners and minority business owners. And that is an added layer of resource that you can't imagine. And even friendships that have sustained us in times where we've needed support from other people and vice versa. So you receive, and then you give back, and then you receive, and it just keeps kind of blooming like that. And I want to make a note about this concept of merit, which is very important. That I don't think anybody should ever be under the illusion that people are just getting handed contracts because of their designation. It does not work that way. You have to earn it. And we've been around for almost 50 years. We've developed a brand and a reputation long before we received our certifications. And I consider the certifications really the added resource that small business owners in particular don't necessarily have access to, even though we represent in a lot of cases like 80% of the businesses in the state. So I think that merit is extremely important, and I don't see it as separate from what it is that we and a lot of the businesses that I know are all about. So you get to a certain point in your life, in your life experience, that it's easier to put things in context. Even though sometimes your hair's on fire, you can put things in context a little bit better. And the fact that this is not just a woman and minority-owned business, this is a family business. And our ability now to be at a phase where we're thinking about these things, where we're kind of planning for this company to be able to be a part of the Indiana environment for many years to come. We're able to step back a little bit and pause and reflect and sort of marvel at where this thing has gone. I mean, it started out with a couple of ladders and 2 history majors, and really has turned into a consistently profitable and ever-growing company that provides a really, really important service in our community.
Last week, Sports Tech HQ, the event during the NFL Combine, focused on the future of football on field with the prospects and off field through a chance for sports technology companies from around the world to play a part in the growing Indiana tech sector. We talk with 2 of them when we return. Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunity. Sports Tech HQ aims to advance Indiana's growing sports technology sectors. Along with InnoPower, Sports Tech HQ hosted an event during the NFL Combine that drew the attention of tech companies from around the world.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Access to capital.
So, for years, Indianapolis has hosted the NFL Combine. And sometimes the Combine comes and just leaves the city. We all love it that it's here. But being able to activate events around the Combine to showcase what's happening in Indy is kind of what we're doing here. Is Sports Tech HQ has done an amazing job of just putting Indy on the map when it comes to sports tech, all the assets we have. And wanted to showcase that this week as far as here's what's happening in our city, here's what Sports Tech HQ has done, here's some companies that they've invested in and supported. So sports tech, right, is all about athlete. Technologies are created to make the game easier, better, faster for the athlete. And then you have athletes that, didn't have that kind of technology when they played. So hearing guys talk about innovation, how the game has changed, how they're living their lives today, right, based on the things they did 10 years ago. So just having an environment where you have tech founders, former players, current players, front office GMs, pro personnel people, just having that environment right here in Indy, right? Because we do have the Combine here. So there's no other city that can do this, right? So we're just taking advantage of it, and I'm excited about all the sponsors, all the partners that put this together. No, it is, and we have to do a better job of activating events that come in our city. Last year we had the NBA All-Star Game, and there's so much energy around it. I think we all learned so much about the city during that weekend. This year, the Combine is really our first major event in the city in February. But if you look at this year, you have the WNBA All-Star Game, you have the Global Entrepreneurship Congress, we have Rally, we have the Indy 500. So as we look at all these events, we want to activate and tell the story of Indianapolis, especially from our business environment. Just let people know that this is a good place to come do business and work. Man, it is so good to be an athlete today. The way you take care of your body is different. There's so much out there. There's so much out there doing the game. There's so much out there for training, right? So being an athlete today is so different. It's unlike what we've ever seen. Like, we don't even understand it. Those of us that played years ago, we can't even imagine what it's like to play today and all the things that are available for you as an athlete to get you better. So the game is so different, it's so much faster, it's so much more violent. So taking care of your body, making sure you have the right equipment, making sure you're able to understand when you train, right, there are things that you can put on your body that kind of gauges everything. Your hydration, your speed, how much you weigh, how much weight you've lost, and that's all technology. So it's amazing what's happening. It's only going to keep getting better.
Well, actually, we got invited through Upside Global and a collaboration between Upside Global, Elevate Ventures, and yourselves. And what a perfect venue. I get access to every NFL team in one location. which is almost near impossible to have in any other venue. So Kinmetrix is a collaboration between robotics and sensors. It's the world's only neck strengthening device that can assess isometrically, which is when you're doing a static hold, and isokinetically, which is through an entire range of motion. So this device can do both the assessment tools and create a specialized strengthening program all in one device, all while collecting data. So as we build out these monsters and these athletes from the shoulders down, and we make all these changes to the helmets and to the mouthpieces, we've kind of forgotten about the next role. And the main reason for that is because there's no way to collect data and measure where our neck strength actually is. We're getting great feedback. So we've had some NFL demos today, and they've all been very positive. The one thing across the board, no matter what the sport is or what level of the sport, is that everyone's looking for the same solution. How do we keep our players safer? How do we minimize the risk? And hopefully one day, how do we reduce CTE overall? So this is why, anything that we've been in front of and people we've been able to do demos and these kinds of chats with, no one's really looked at us like, why are you creating this solution? We don't have a problem. It is a problem across the globe, across every sport, every age, and every level. So the nice thing is that we are here to provide a solution for that problem. I'm hoping to get a little bit more education on us as a company, as our goals and our values, but most importantly that we have this standalone device, the only device in the world that can do what it does, how safe it is, how accurate it is, and how versatile it is. So it could be put somewhere for research, it could be used as a post-rehab or a return to play, and it can be in a gym facility just strengthening the necks.
So AI.io, we're a company that uses computer vision, AI and deep learning to allow athletes to analyse themselves for sporting movements, and they do this directly from a mobile phone. So it doesn't matter where they are in the world, they can download an app, do some sporting movements, get scored, get analysed, get rated, and actually potentially get trials and opportunities for professional teams and organisations. So about 18 months ago we met Jeff at Sports Tech HQ, and we discussed a lot about the kind of ecosystem that's building around Indiana in sports. So all the way from the pro sports, the college teams, the high schools, the governing bodies, the sport tech ecosystem that's being created. So we've been working with them for a while around how AI.io fits into that. So we're here really just to work through that with that team. It definitely does, yeah, because I think there's a company like ours, we have operations is just as important as sales, is just as important as R&D, and I think you've kind of got a bit of all of that here, right? So the ability to research, develop and innovate with your academic partners, some massive, obviously colleges with great programs that are a great fit to us. So from biomechanical engineering to data informatics, there's a lot of value there. Then obviously the sports team ecosystem gives us an opportunity to actually use the product to sell products. That's important, right? So we want to sell things, but so yeah, I think the ecosystem's well covered for everything that we need, really. Yeah, I think for me, my background's always been high performance sport. So what we do now is we put the ability for anybody to access the types of tools that high performance athletes would normally get. So things that normally reserved just for high performance athletes. Now, you just need a mobile phone. So if you have a smartphone, you download an app and you can get those insights and those metrics. And the biggest exciting thing is that we're seeing kids and young talent getting trials and getting signed for professional teams and sports teams just from downloading an app and getting their data and getting their metrics. So that's the thing that gets out of bed every day, right? Is knowing that you've changed a kid's life who's now got an opportunity with a team that they didn't have before. A lot of the feedback comes from, there's two parts. A lot of it comes from the parents. So the parents where they've seen their child or kid struggle to get noticed in sport, and now suddenly they've got an opportunity on the back of the app. But then from the sports teams as well. So scouting's a very difficult operation. So lots of boots on the ground. Where do you go? How can you see all the kids at once? You just can't. There's just not enough people. So us giving them data up front to allow them to kind of streamline their work, we give them time back in their day. So there's good positive feedback from the clubs as well.
Up next, news about the reopening of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum, straight from the president. That's next on Business Equity and Opportunities.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Let's talk about the week in business. Exciting news that should draw more people to the many small businesses in Speedway. Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum opens in less than 1 month. Joe Hale is the president of it and stopped by Wish TV's Daybreak to fill us in on what you'll see and hear.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. This Week in Business.
It is 8:42, live look at Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum. One of Central Indiana's most renowned attractions is nearly ready to reopen after years of dreaming and designing and fundraising and building. And Joe Hale has sort of shepherded the place through all of it. The president of Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. That shot, it looks the same on the outside.
It does.
Wait until you get into the inside.
Well, tell us about it. How close are you to done? What's left to button up?
You know, I remember when Bowles was on here, you had a countdown clock on the screen. You know, we're 28 days away from opening. And, you know, we've been working on this. We closed about 16 months ago. It's been a challenging time, to say the least. But right now, we're on schedule. We're under budget. We're opening April 2nd.
Nothing better a president would like to say than on schedule and under budget.
And tickets are on sale right now online.
Tell us about that. There's a timed ticketing system. How's that work?
There is. We know we're going to be slammed when we open the first month or so. So initially, we are going to have a timed entryway. So when you go online to buy your ticket, you can choose the time that you'd like to visit. And we'll make sure that everybody's comfortable when they're there and it's not overly crowded.
Is there surge pricing like some attractions use?
Not at this point.
Okay.
Not at this point. I mean, if you're a member, you get a little priority.
Sure.
And you know, members, they're $25. Well, the admission is $25 for an adult, 18 for a kid, and seniors certainly have a discount. But you know, if you visit the museum twice as a family, you pay for the membership. So we're encouraging people to get memberships. There's some advantages to that.
As we see on our screen, we're seeing some of the renderings, and from here and there, you mentioned President Doug Bowles at the track. He'll come in with the behind the bricks and show us some pictures of what's actually happening inside. When people go in, are there one or two spaces that, with everything being exciting, you're most looking forward to them experiencing?
Scott, I think people are going to be blown away when they come into this museum. I mean, there is nothing left from the old museum. It's just incredible. There's going to be a starting line experience where you stand on the starting line of the track, and it's about a 6-minute experience where it's what it's like to be on that track from 6 a.m. until driver starts your engines on race morning. It is in front of you, it's above you, it's all around you. It's incredible, just incredible.
When you describe things, your eyes light up. Does a mission guide you as you and your team obviously put together what we're going to see here, but it's an evolving museum. There's a race every year. There'll be new additions. Does that guide you?
It does. And you know, in the past, the museum was somewhat static. And some people said it reminded them of an indoor parking lot, which I didn't appreciate. Today, there are 14 distinct areas that you can go to, different galleries. Plus, we're going to have rotating exhibitions. Every 3 or 4 months, there's going to be something new happening there. But our focus is always on the winning cars of the 500. Our obligation to tell the stories and the history of the 500, that's not wavered at all.
Do you think the first-time viewer will be more blown away, or in some ways, might it be the person who's gone over the decades?
You know, I think it's anybody. If a person's not a car person when they come in, they're still going to enjoy it because it's interactive, it's participatory, it's immersive, it's educational, but also it's very, very entertaining, especially for kids. You know, education's going to be a keystone of this new museum. We're going to talk about all the jobs that are being created right here in Indianapolis in motorsports and how kids can prepare for those. So that's going to be a keystone. Plus, there's just going to be a lot for families and kids to do.
Joe Hale is the president of Indianapolis Motor Speedway Museum. By the shine in your eyes, the biggest cheerleader for the place as well. We're excited for you. Again, you mentioned the times and ticketing. April 2nd is the date. We'll work on getting a countdown clock for you. Tickets $25. Children under 5 get in free. The museum closed for renovations back in November of 2023, reopens to everybody Wednesday, April 2nd. We have the new ticket and membership pricing information on our website. Follow the QR code, it'll get you right there. Coming up this hour, if you're a business owner, you know it's tax season. Courtney Kincaid has some updated information you need to be aware of. Next on Business Equity and Opportunities.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. If you are a small business owner, you're well aware tax deadlines are coming up. Yay! But for many of you, your CPA may be filing an extension. Courtney Kincaid explains the reasons why it might be the best thing for your company.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities, Accounting and Bookkeeping.
Well, everyone likes to talk about taxes this time of year. We are in the middle of tax filing season. And as most people know, especially business owners right now, quarter one of a new administration, federally and state, can lead to a lot of anxiety. There are still a lot of questions related to tax relief, be that business property tax, be that individual income tax at a state level, but at a federal level, what's going to be extended. We have some important tax filing deadlines coming up where you might need to file an extension. So this is your annual reminder that if you file an extension, it does not mean your CPA is too busy for you. It does not mean that your CPA doesn't know what to do. It means there's not really a lot of clarity right now. And that will continue and through the legislative session. We're in a legislative session that's longer this year as we look at budget year. So it's also a good time when you're touching base with your CPA this time of year to think beyond tax compliance and things that we're issuing and reports and guidance on and really asking that clients take a look at is understanding risk. And understanding their risk as it relates to new tools and new technology. So cybersecurity, and thinking about as more and more organizations are leveraging AI and putting a lot of sensitive data out there, make sure you're touching base with your CPA to think about what are things that I could talk to my CPA about throughout the year that aren't just reactionary, such as taxes or compliance work, but trying to be proactive as you make sure that your data is secure as you onboard all these new technology tools. Efficiency is great, but not if it comes at the expense of cybersecurity and data security.
Up next, we take a hard look at some of Indiana's most damaging tornadoes and why businesses need to prepare for disasters before they strike. It's next on Business Equity and Opportunity.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities.
History tells us natural disasters can be devastating. How you prepare for the possibility and then respond to the reality can make a huge difference in how your business recovers. In Indiana, we've had floods, fires, earthquakes, blizzards, and all too frequently, tornadoes. In 2002, one of the biggest twisters in our state's history started in the southwest, tore through central Indiana, and did not stop until it hit Blackford County, staying on the ground for some 112 miles. Everyone survived, but more than 100 people were hurt, and the tally of damage came in at more than $150 million. That storm is one of several we will feature in our next 70th anniversary special coming up Wednesday night. You'll see exclusive video from our archives and hear accounts from Wish TV's reporters, meteorologists, and photographers who were there on the ground during and after one of Indiana's true catastrophes.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities, running your business day to day.
But it's just absolutely coming down in gangbusters. You can see there's sirens going off behind us here for that tornado warning. So you know who you are, you know where you live. If you hear the sirens, you should take cover right away and head for safety.
I want to get this warning on real quick. Let's go ahead and go to Super Doppler rate. We're going to be on a 25-mile scan here. We now have the latest report of the tornado being on the ground in northern sections of Johnson County. Again, the storm is moving to the northeast at around 35 to 45 miles per hour. Be aware, southeastern Marion County, anywhere from around the Greenwood area. Be aware in Greenwood, this is right by you right now. please be in shelter at this time. And then as we go into Marion County, Beech Grove, those areas, go to the basement, lowest floor of your house, seek shelter immediately.
From Martinsville to Greenwood to the east side of Marion County, a brief but devastating storm sweeps across central Indiana. Now, it's safe to say that Hoosiers have not seen this kind of devastation in years. At least one tornado knocked down power lines like dominoes, and a number of Hoosiers are forced to find shelter elsewhere tonight.
Now, this is how it looked earlier today as we were cruising over the south side of Indianapolis and looking at some of the damage, getting our first look in reality of downed trees, for example, just tipped over at the roots with dirt sprayed out around them as the trees came down across the road. Keith and I were both amazed. The more we looked and the more we spun the camera around to get an idea of just what we were dealing with, because we've been hearing reports all day, but it was just beginning to, as we followed that path, we were just beginning to get a sense for the mess that was central Indiana, right, Keith?
Absolutely, and the more we looked, the more damage we saw. We followed a trail of damage for about almost, we guess now, maybe 18 miles long, and that we could tell that there was damage. As you look right here at one of the homes that was damaged, and big damage on the south side in the Greenwood area all the way up through Southport. As you take a look at some of the apartments right down here that were damaged, you can see roofs ripped off. You can see debris thrown everywhere, and we just followed the trail, and it was all we could see.
We saw it concentrated in Greenwood into parts of the southeast side and then on to the east side of Indianapolis. Businesses, too, looking much like this with debris scattered all over the place.
Right now we're looking at what's the Baxter Y here without any damage. As you can see, looking inside the Baxter Y now here on the south side, it had plenty of damage to it, as well as many of the businesses here on the south side. Just total destruction in some areas, and just a few hundred yards away, there was no damage to any of the buildings. So power lines down everywhere, trees, cars that were turned on its side, light poles in them. As we look at the parking lots here, just damage everywhere.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see how the storm blew through and how it affected different buildings in different ways. Sometimes pulling walls out from under roofs and allowing the roofs to stand. Other times, as we're taking a look here, a railroad track down around Fairview Road, also on the south side, a tree down blocking the train, so the train could not get through. And then right here, Aqua Systems Company, at one point there were people down there waving up at us through the holes that were once their roof, and then here we are flying across central Indiana once again, just kind of getting an idea of how widespread the damage had become.
It was devastated. This parking lot, the storm went right through here, and as we go over and take a look at the front of the Kmart now, you can see that the storm passed through here early this afternoon. It first went through Ellettsville, then came down 37 to Martinsville. And as you look at the devastation in the parking lot, just a lot of property damage. The school bus was damaged severely, all the windows blown out. You can see that cars are smashed, toppled, turned over. Even an RV was on its side. Also a delivery truck was turned over. Some very, very strong winds passed through here. The people who were inside the Kmart at the time, several of them were hit by flying glass and debris, but no one in there was seriously injured.
There's no way to describe it. The building, we just turned around and the building came up. The roof flew off and the walls started coming down. Air conditioning units and furnaces and tools and stuff are just flying around.
We invite you to join us Wednesday night, 6:30, as we take a look at some of Indiana's deadliest and most damaging tornadoes and hear the firsthand accounts from the Wish TV staffers who risk it all to bring the stories to you as they happen. As a business owner, we certainly encourage you to have a plan ready on how you and your employees would handle such a disaster. To help you stay informed about when storms roll through, we hope you'll stay with us and the Storm Track 8 weather team, always available 24/7 through our weather app. If you don't have it yet downloaded, we have a link on our website. Won't cost you a dime. Coming up this hour, we want to introduce you to Real Talk, a local youth initiative that provides some opportunities to young voices. We're proud to say it's starting its third season. Stay with us. It's on Business Equity and Opportunities. Welcome back to Business Equity and Opportunities. Blazing Academy and InnoPower have launched an AI training initiative promising to train 1,000 people in Indiana to have essential AI skills by this July. We talked to John Qualls, the executive director of Blazing Academy and a champion for AI literacy, to find out how they plan to make that happen.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities. Industry Focus.
Yeah, John Qualls, Executive Director at Blazing Academy, and we're focused on AI literacy in kind of underserved and Main Street America. You know, I grew up here in Indianapolis. I went into the Marine Corps, and when I went into the Marine Corps, I learned a little bit about computers only because I knew how to type. And that began a journey of, I want to say at least maybe 7 or 8 startup organizations that I've been a part of, all in kind of technology. So as I got out of the military, I came back here, and I've been involved in technology ever since. First, I wish I would have had this when I was younger. The tools that you can do and what you can do with it is amazing. You know, I think a lot of times people think that maybe they've missed the boat on this AI, but it's actually a lot earlier than you think. I was talking to someone the other day, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're really doing a lot," and I find out they're using Grammarly, and I'm kind of like, well, there's a lot more than just that. So I just think we're on the really front end of people understanding a tool set that's really going to unleash a tremendous amount of productivity and creativity. It's still early, but I think it's really important, the AI literacy piece, right, to really understand what can and can't be done with it today. It's not just leveling the playing field, but it's allowing them to really amplify. You know, like someone says, I feel like I can be 8 people now. And as if you know anything about starting a company, you always feel like 8 people. But boy, it'd be nice to have some tools to feel like I can actually be as effective as 8 people. You know, a lot of times I say, well, we'll teach prompt engineering, and people want to say, wait, engineering, I'm not a technologist. And I say, I wish I'd just call it prompt crafting. But it's the art of asking a really good question. And I think that's universal for any business. And as business owners, at the end of the day, you constantly have questions. We do a lot to try to help you understand. Just have a conversation. And I think that's the really breakthrough, is that you could just have you don't have to be technical. Just have a conversation with what your, the context of and your intention. And its interaction, it kind of almost feels like magic sometimes. Yeah, so us in InnoPower, we're talking, and it's like, how can we make a bigger impact than just one person at a time? And so we took a step back and said, why don't we teach 50 people, and at Blazing Academy we have kind of an AI specialist program, and teach them how to be an AI specialist. Let's teach them how to be a specialist, but let's pick 50 people that are in the middle of communities, and let's teach them how to be instructors. So not only to learn it, but to actually instruct it. So what we'll be doing is teaching 50 people AI, and then how to teach people AI, and each one of them will be tasked to teach 20 people. And I think that means, at least my math is 1,050, so it's more than 1,000 people by July. It is so rewarding to watch them uncover what can be done. A lot of times they just didn't know what they didn't know. I think things at times are still very early. I think 98% of people still use the tool like a Google prompt, like it's only 4 or 5 words. And so we really teach them how to actually do work with it. If you talk about just the human capital supply chain, you have the boomers that are moving out of the workforce at 10,000 a day, and you've got young people coming into the workforce at about 3,500 a day. So that means that about every 30 days we lose in the workforce St. Louis, right? If you just want to think about it from a number standpoint. And that supply chain change is creating a tremendous amount of pressure and opportunity, right, in that piece. The other thing is, I think everyone's just trying to get more done with less, right? We're just, with inflation, everything else, it's like, how can I get more done with less? And if we can show you how to spend $20 and get $1,000 of value, that just feels like something to understand. I will say at least 2 or 3 times a week, I'll be somewhere, and someone will walk up and say, hey, I went to one of your sessions, it changed my life. It literally just happened last week, and I was like, I don't think it was me, But I'm really excited that we were able to open that opportunity for you. And that's the part I can't, every time, this is really hard to do, by the way. It's really hard work. And every time I think, and then something like that happens and I'm back, and we're back to doing what we do. So.
Coming up, we preview the Season 3 premiere of Real Talk, station initiative that gives a voice to young people in our community. It is today's success story. Stay with us to find out why on Business Equity and Opportunity. Time is short here on Business Equity and Opportunities for this hour. We do, though, want to introduce you to what we believe is one of our community success stories. Real Talk, a unique series that gives voice to the young people in our community. Wish TV is proud to partner with youth agencies throughout our community, giving them a chance to be heard, to create a groundbreaking approach to impact our young people and the community in which they live. It's now beginning its 3rd season. The show is giving the youth a chance to be heard and adults in our community an opportunity to listen. Here's a preview of what's coming up tomorrow on the season premiere of Real Talk.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities Success Story.
What's addiction to you? Addiction to me is something that you feel like you have to have or that you want, not even just drugs, like in general, just the broad of, oh, I need this, but in reality, you really don't. Like the feeling of not being able to function normally without something.
So let's say this, like, I'm depressed, I feel a little lonely, and I'm not happy with life. That's a mental health problem. So maybe I might want to smoke to make myself feel better or relieve some of the pain or the loneliness so I won't feel so alone. So therefore, you is using this as a coping skill, but if you overly do this, too much of anything is bad for you. So if I'm addicted to something and I'm losing that strength because I'm addicted to this thing and I can't have discipline to not be addicted to this thing and, you know, go away from this specific drug that I'm addicted to, or so that takes away my strength, that takes away my confidence. So that also gives you even worse mental health because you're addicted. But it also comes from mental health because you're addicted because you have poor mental health.
Honestly, my senior year from 2022 to recent, if I'm being very honest, it's been a struggle, like personal, mental, it's just been a struggle. I'm getting on a better path, but I use vapes to cope because I needed an escape. I just needed to not, think of what was going on, but it was affecting my health. It was affecting me with my passion, because I sing and it affected my voice and my breathing, my breath control, and I didn't like that. It was more negatives than positives because it's so normalized nowadays. Everybody got a vape, everybody's smoking marijuana, everybody's just doing everything because social media just put it out there. Artists nowadays, they put it out there like this. It's okay to do, and it's really not.
Addiction to me is basically a form of mental health. You go through something with your mental health, right? And you may be mad or sad. Okay, so then you might see a drug, okay? You get over, this high, and then you don't feel it. You don't feel the mental problems no more.
Yeah, you don't feel all the emotions.
Yeah, while you're high. So then you might, want to try that, and then it feels good while you're doing it. And then once it, goes off, then you try again.
More so to nullify the emotions that you have. I definitely went through a lot of ups and downs through my life due to addiction. My mama, she was really addicted to liquor. Yeah, she was really, really bad on liquor. So whenever she'd get drunk, you ever had that moment where you feel like, dang, this is pure chaos, this is hell on earth. So when my mama got drunk, it was more so like it was chaos. It was more so like what liquor does to you, it more so like makes it to the point like you can't think straight. It's more so like they get that certain emotion and then it take all that power and it fuel it to all that negativity that get out you when you off this liquor, when you off this alcohol. So when all these emotions is coming out from my mother, going through so much stress and pain from relationships or from struggles or child support or, through the stuff that African Americans go through, through the struggle and being in the system. So through all them struggles, I was, you know, in and out the system, foster home to foster home. So it was like, okay, this what addiction is. This what addiction is. But, you know, I tried to tell my mom, hey, I don't like this. And what it does to a kid, it gives them trauma. That's what traumatization is. It traumatizes you. You see something like that, and it just changed your life. And it's like, dang, I ain't never seen nothing like this. Whatever a parent does, it's always gonna affect the child. It's always gonna affect the child.
For a lot of youth, they feel like it's weak to open up, or it's weak to let someone know how you're feeling or what you're going through. And that's just off the strength of what their parents were taught in their households. But I feel like in today's generation, we're leaning more towards like trying to break those generational curses. Not saying like we don't still go through it, because we 100% still do. We like to project what we've learned in our houses on the outside world. So those generational curses have become like a really big impact on the youth.
The team from Real Talk visited Weekend Daybreak this morning to talk with Brittany Noble, who hosts both shows. They talked about how Real Talk is working to create positive change for young people in our community. Real Talk Addiction is Season 3's premiere. It deals with the ways addiction affects mental health. Airs 3:30 tomorrow on Wish TV. If you miss it, you can find it on our website, wishtv.com/real-talk. This morning, we also have congratulations to pass on. As part of Wish TV's commitment to education, the station has sponsored the I Love to Read Challenge for several years now. The reading program dates back to 1990, encouraging third grade classrooms to develop strong reading habits. We got the chance to meet the best of the best Friday morning on Daybreak, so congratulations to this year's I Love to Read Challenge classroom winners, Sharon Ashmore's class from Columbus Christian School. You can find out more about the I Love to Read Challenge program on our website. Just follow the QR code. A reminder, we have a new show every Sunday on Wish TV and wishtv.com. Plus, we post each of our 7 segments from this week and past episodes on beoshow.com. While you're there, sign up for our newsletter and subscribe to our podcast. As for now, thank you for spending this hour with us. Join us next week for more business equity and opportunities. Till then, I'm Scott Sander. Have a great day.
Business, equity, and opportunities. Made possible by Fifth Third Bank, Indiana Black Expo, Gemco, Indy Biz Pass, Bose McKinney & Evans, Eskenazi Health, and Lilly, a medicine company.